Welcome in. We're talking about all things ED today. So we'll just wait for a couple of minutes for a few people to come in. Welcome, welcome. We are talking all things ED today. Why it happens, how it happens. That's weird. My phone just blacked out. Anywho, we're going to keep going. What is ED? Why it happens, how to navigate it without shame. No need, no room for shame. Stux. Thanks, Stux. Thank you, Stokes. I appreciate you so much. My dogs are barking already. So typically it's not if it's going to happen, it's when. If you have a member below the waist, so why not we get into it? A lot of people ask me, you're a female, why do you have any insight, or why are you going to be one to speak on it? Because I'm a clinical sexologist. I'm a specialist in all things intimacy and relationships, and I have knowledge on the subject because of that. So that is why. And it's interesting to me that women are asked about these things, but men are not asked why they are gynecologists or why they are maybe OBGYNs. I guess that's the same thing. Why do they deliver babies? Why? And they've done the work, they've gone to school, as have I. So that is why I am speaking on the matter today. And I'm also speaking on the matter today because there are so many questions around it. There's a lot of shame around it. There's a lot of guilt around it, and it impacts a lot of relationships. So let's get into it. A lot of people like to self-diagnose. Thank you, honey, for the heart me. I appreciate it. And I mean, that's what we do. We have Google, we type in our symptoms, and then all of these things come up. And I would really encourage you not to do that, because a lot of times when we self-diagnose, we get this idea in our mind that we are broken or that we have these things that are wrong with us. And then for any of those, hey, Mike, thank you for the heart me. For anybody who has been here long enough to, and that has listened to me for any duration of time, they understand that our brains are our most powerful schmexual organ. What we tell ourselves matters. So if you self-diagnose and you look up these symptoms and why my member below the waist isn't standing at attention for the duration of time that I want it to. Charlotte, thank you so much for the populars. Welcome in. Why this is happening, and you get this huge, thank you, Maggie. I hope you had a wonderful afternoon. You get all of this information on why it's not working, and it says, Charlotte, thank you for the heart me. It says you have ED. A lot of times that's not the case. That is not the case. But if you think it is the case, that is very much going to impact your erectile health. So please don't do that. That is why I am here today, to give you information on what exactly it is, what it isn't, and how to navigate it. And I'm going to give you information as the person with the member below the waist and as a partner. Charlotte, thank you so much for the club cheers. Because it doesn't just impact the person who is struggling, it impacts the partner as well. So let's talk about it. Is a very long watcher and rising star in your life. Well, hello, HK Mike. Nice to have you. Maggie, thank you so much for that. Lucky Teeth. Welcome in, Maggie. Thank you for the little Tom's hug, Maggie. I hope that you had a fantastic afternoon with those little teeny tiny muffins. Lucky Teeth, thank you for the follow. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so we're talking about something that impacts millions and millions of men, but almost nobody talks about it openly. Erectile dysfunction. I'm going to refer to it as ED from here on out because I don't want to get flagged. Everyone becomes Dr. Google Aksha. I know, right? Yeah, we get very, it's so easy to look on Google or another search engine and just type in symptoms, and then you get this whole book of knowledge on what is occurring with you, and a lot of times it's inaccurate. Riverman, how are you? Welcome in. So we are going to normalize a lot of things here. We are going to talk about what to do if you are experiencing some of these things, and we're going to talk about potentially what not to do. Because a lot of people sit silently in shame, and when you do that, worsens the impact. It doesn't support your erectile health. Oh yeah, I was just reading an AI summary of what I was talking about. Okay, so this is very common. This is very treatable, and this is not a personal failure. I just want to put that out there. This live is meant to be educational. There is no place for shame, so I am not a shame-based educator at all. Dan, thank you so much for the heart me. And Maggie, thank you for the populars. So understand, if you are sitting in a place of shame, I am here to support you, and I'm here to perhaps give you a sweet, loving kick in the pants that this is common, and there are a lot of things you can do. There are a lot of things you can do to perhaps find yourself in a different situation. Maggie, thank you for the club cheers, and thank you for the confetti. Hey, Jerry, how are you? Okay, there's no blame here. This is a place for understanding. It's a place for asking questions, because this impacts individuals and relationships, not just the person with the member below the waist that isn't quite functioning as they wish it would or could be. Question for you. Big meat just don't work. Sometimes it is 100%, because your brain is your most powerful schmex organ. What you tell it, what is happening emotionally, physiologically, physically, we're going to get into all of that, impacts what's happening below the waist. Have you or your partner ever worried about this or wondered about it? 1 for yes, 2 for no. We're talking about ED, Andrew. Sure you can, that boy. Have you ever worried about ED before in your relationship? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Thank you for the heart me, Andrew. Appreciate that. Of course, Jerry. One for yes, 2 for no. You have a clinical sexologist as a wife though, honey. So like, we've talked about it a lot based on the information that, like, I ask questions and we talk about things a lot. So I eat lots of beets. Yes, you do. That's funny. Thank you, Andrew, for the Go Popular. Thank you, Amanda, for the follow. Welcome to the fam. And you don't have to answer out loud, but there are a lot of people that this impacts. And I would say the majority of relationships this impacts or will impact in the future. Thank you for the follow, Terry. One bite. I eat a lot of oysters. Oysters do have that zinc in them that are really, they're good. That's good for nitric oxide production. That's good. PhD with tenure. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure why you said that, Andrew. Are you saying that you have a PhD? Good for you. That's awesome. Petra. Hello from Sweden. Welcome, welcome. My bonus dad was from Sweden, so I love Sweden. Okay, what actually is ED? Because there are a lot of things, there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of beliefs that, a lot of myths that people do believe that just, they are not fact-based, they are not research-based. So I'm going to try and clear some of that up. So if you have, this is, oh, reset my goal. Wow, that was quick. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so what I'm going to go through like a list of a few things that if they are recurring, I have a little cheerleading squad here. If they are recurring, then we potentially have some things to discuss. But I'm going to talk about what it is, ED, and what it is not. Because again, like I mentioned, there's a lot of myths and a lot of misinformation that people believe. And not putting any blame on anybody, but let's just say it as it is. Like, some of these uncomfortable things that we are not talking about or have not been educated about come back to really bite us in the butt, because we don't know. And what we don't know really impacts our relationships. It impacts our sexual health. It impacts our health overall in general. So that is why I wanted to, and actually I can't remember who it was last Thursday, but they asked if I would talk about ED today. So that is why we're going down this path today. Again, because this impacts the majority of relationships where a male is involved. So I wanted to discuss all things, what it is not, what we can do, when we should seek medical help. Thank you so much for the heart me. I don't know. Let's just do this one. I'm having a hard time picking one. I'm completely focused on what I'm doing. It's hard to be focused on like an outline and a conversation and then put these little teeny goals up. So I apologize for getting distracted. Den, thank you for the finger heart. Okay. Ongoing or reoccurring difficulty. Let's talk about it. Honey, thank you for the kneading kitty. Appreciate it. If you have problems keeping the member at attention, thank you for the finger heart. If you have problems, so getting it to stand at attention, maintaining the stand of attention, and again, some of the way that I describe this sounds ridiculous, but I have to be careful what I say on TikTok or else I'll get booted off. Thank you, Andrew, for the populars. If you have difficulty maintaining that firmness that is sufficient for extracurriculars activities between the sheets. And I want to emphasize that this is consistent. This is ongoing. Taz, thank you for the Go Populars. If this is an issue that you are getting often, then we need to consider ED, okay? What ED is not? If you have one bad night, if you are tired, if you are stressed, if you are distracted, if you have been consuming adult beverages, if you are in a little spot where your libido is low, if you suffer from infertility, if you have, how do I say this? Release issues. That is not ED. Eric, if you don't care, then you don't need to be here. I'm trying to educate people who actually do care. KK, sometimes, but nothing replaces somebody who can help you specifically with your problem. Andrew, thank you so much for that love call and for the diamond. I appreciate you. Yeah, it's so interesting to me how ballsy people are behind a screen. And like, the world would be such a different place if we just all led with kindness instead of projection. But anywho, that's a side note. Okay. Because keeping a member at attention, Kahaya, thank you for the roses. An erection is not a switch. It's a system. And in fact, if you were here on Tuesday, we were talking about libido. Libido is kind of it's information. If you have low libido, it's information that your body is telling you. If your libido is high, yes, keyboard warriors. Hey, Mary, it's information. So if you are having issues with your erectile tissue, please consider it just information that we need to perhaps do something about that information, okay? If it's on a consistent, ongoing basis. Can medication cause ED or just decrease libido? Both, Laura. There are certain medications that will impact your sexual response cycle. Andrew, thank you for the roses. Michael, I am mucho gusto, I am a clinical sexologist. Because if I were to ask and people were going to give me an honest response, the majority of us have had an off night, right? And then if there has been an off night where perhaps there was adult beverages involved, or their stress level was high, or your libido was in a low point, or something significant happened, your sexual response cycle is going to be affected. You are human. That does not mean something is wrong. Thank you so much, Gemma, for the heart me. This information is not in my book. I don't specifically address ED in my book. It's all about communicating about schmecks and conflict resolution, how to initiate different ways you can increase a level of intimacy in your relationship. That's what is in that book. Let's talk about what's happening in your body when ED potentially is an issue. How do I help my wife be in the mood after a hysterectomy, food, or medical? That's dependent on her recovery, what the doctor has given her like her prognosis, how long she needs to heal. I don't know where she is in her journey. Hysterectomies are going to impact a lot of things because they are messing with hormones. I don't know if she's had a partial or a full. So there would need to be more information on my part to give any specific information on that. But you can send me a DM if you'd like, and I can help you with exact specifics. So what is happening in the body? Simple breakdown. In order for erectile tissue to become engorged, Mrs. Mazook, how are you? Thank you for the populars. Welcome in today. So men and women both have erectile tissue. And when that tissue is fully engorged, meaning it is full of blood, we need sort of a kind of a checklist of things to happen in order for that to reach its full capacity of engorgement, okay? Thank you, Maggie, for the little kneading kitten. I am feeling great, thank you. How are you? And thank you for the ice cream cone. Thank you for the follow as well. We need the brain to be activated. What do I mean by that? We need arousal signals. Thank you for the heart me. I appreciate you. When we are responding to some stimuli, our brain is activated. And those arousal, certain things are happening in our brain that are causing some physiological responses. Adam, I would disagree with you in that because I think that's a Band-Aid. When anyone comes to me with erectile issues, it's like a puzzle. I get out my magnifying glass and we go through absolutely everything. The little blue pill is not off the table, but it is probably one of the last things I recommend because you are Band-Aiding the problem. If we can get to the root of the issue, you don't need a blue pill. You're really nervous about having a kid? That is a very normal reaction. And I think the majority of people are. It is life-changing. It's an amazing experience, but it is life-changing in that. Patty, thank you for the populars. And we are here to support you. How are you, Patty? Thank you for the heart me too, Patty. So we need the brain to be activated. Thank you for that little kneading kitten. I didn't realize he had sunglasses on. How cute. We need our vascular system to be on. We need it to be on board too. What is that? Our heart. It needs to be pumping. We need blood flow. What else needs to come to the table? Nerves, because they are the communication in our body. They are sending signals. They are communicating things to different parts of our body. I don't actually mean I take a magnifying glass. You do understand that, right? Hey, Rosie Rob. This is good, Rob. I think everybody in a relationship needs to hear this, or even when you're not in a relationship. Everybody needs to be taking care of their erectile health. Men and women have erectile tissue. The thing with men is a lot of times they don't want to talk about it and they sit in a place of shame and it doesn't need to be there. For those of you who do not have a member below the waist, there are a lot of things you can do to support your partner as well. Along with brain, blood, and nerves, the hormones need to be on board. They are very supportive of your erectile health. Cayenne pepper is very helpful. That curcumin, beneficial. And the last thing that I want to come to play, so there's 5 things that are important when it comes to what erections require. Brain needs to be on board, nerves, blood flow, hormones, and emotional safety. Yes, this matters. And actually somebody about maybe 5 or 7 minutes ago mentioned this, and I 100% agree. Because ED is not just about the schmeenus, the member below the waist, the eggplant. It's a whole body issue. Blood flow is everything. If something is wrong with your heart, it's going to impact your ability to become fully engorged. Anxiety, guess what? That impacts signals. Remember those signals I said that are happening with your nerves? Anxiety impacts that. Jordan, thank you for the follow. Son, thank you for the follow. Chronic conditions also impact function. Simple life, thank you for the populars. Can long-term emotional neglect leading to lack of, whoa, where did that go? Lack of, can be fixed in a marriage? 100%. If both people are on board, then thank you for the finger heart. DJ, if you want to reach out and send me a DM, I can very much be supportive and help guide you in that area. 40 seconds to free superfan for 1 month. Miss Maggie, Lady Lisa, thank you so much for the heart me. So Miss Maggie put up a superfan subscription and I never can see it. I don't understand how this works, but thank you so much for that little friendship bracelet, thought bench. So I don't know how it works, but apparently on the top right of the screen, there is a little something that if somebody taps it, they get a superfan subscription for 30 days. At this point, I get anxious about it not working. Jason, thank you for being courageous and putting that in the chat, because I can tell you that the majority of men have felt this or will feel this at some point in their lives. And that is why I'm doing this live. So please stay tuned. I'm going to give you some really helpful, tangible tips to take away from this. Mare, you got it, Mare? Come along. I'm so excited that you got that. Okay, Jerry, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. That is so cool. Okay, Mare is a longtime family member in this community, and for her to get the superfan subscription, that's really cool. Very fast snagging abilities, Mare. Love it. Thank you so much, Maggie. That was really kind of you. I have chronic PTSD. It affects my libido quite a bit. Mark, as from someone who has suffered from PTSD as well, I very much understand that. It very much impacts libido. And there's so many things, Mark, that you can do to support your libido that are natural and that you can start doing like today. We had a whole entire live on Tuesday, Audie and Mark, on libido, and I will do it again because it is a topic that isn't talked about. Like you can't talk about it too much. I'm psyched. I'm psyched for you. I'm psyched for you. That's awesome. Congratulations. Okay. If your body does not feel safe, supported, and regulated, it will not prioritize sexual function. Do you remember when I was talking about libido on Tuesday? And I said your nervous system very much plays a part in your sexual response. In that if you are stressed at all, worried, depressed, overwhelmed, your body puts pleasure on the back shelf because it can't be in rest and digest, meaning open and willing to find and feel pleasure, and stressed at the same time. We were not wired that way. Our bodies are and were created for survival, right? And so we are scanning for danger every 3 seconds. And so if there is a threat, whether it is a factual threat or a threat that we think is a threat. Pleasure, back burner. And it impacts your sexual function. Therefore, it impacts your ability to have sexual functioning at its full capacity. I'm trying to be careful what I say because there's a lot of words I cannot say. I was telling my husband that I'm happy to talk about ED. I'm happy to provide info. Thank you, Maggie, for the little kitty. It's just it's a hard one to talk about on here because a lot of words are not allowed to be said on TikTok. But we're gonna work our way through it. So that's that emotional safety factor that a lot of Tanya. Thank you for the heart me. Welcome in. Tony, welcome to the fam. Thanks for the follow. If your body does not feel safe, supported, and regulated, it will not prioritize pleasure. It just won't. So why is ED so misunderstood? Why do people get it wrong? Hey, Rain, thank you for the heart me. That is such a cute gift, isn't it, Green Eyes? Hey, Green Eyes, me too. I think if in fact you do have green eyes, I am so grateful to have green eyes. I love my eyes. Budding heart. Thank you, Maggie, for the budding heart. So it's cool when I see people with green eyes because, you know, we're not that common. Okay, why do people get it wrong? People think that ED is either, there's usually two camps. Either something is seriously broken. Oh, my sons are hazel too, Mary Henry. I love it. So people think that ED, something is seriously broken, or it's all in their head. That's the belief of the majority of people. Green eyes are only 2% of the population. I knew it was a teeny percentage range, but I wasn't quite sure of the exact percentage. So cool. I'm glad to be part of the 2%. The reality of that is it's often a combination of factors. So if you are struggling with any type of erectile issues, Ashley, thank you for the heart me. Here's what it actually is. Ready? How are you, Ashley? I have hazel, but primarily green. Love it, Rob. My eyes used to be a lot like they've always been green. But as I have more candles to blow out on my cake every year, they are getting more green and more green every year, which I have no issue with because I think it's kind of super cool. I love that, Jason. Okay, so ED, often a combination of factors. What are those combination of factors? I have a 4-bucket framework. Already? All right, let's get into these buckets. The first bucket is your body. Now, within that body bucket, what am I talking about? Your overall health, your blood flow, and your hormones. You have green eyes too, Tanya? Look at that. So, number 1 bucket out of 4 is what's happening in your body. Your health, overall health, your blood flow, and your hormones. The second bucket I want to talk about. Oh, get out of town, David. That's cool. I love that. That's very cool. Samir, thank you for the follow. Jason, thank you for the follow. First bucket, body. Second bucket is your brain. So, stress, anxiety, pressure, the thoughts in our mind, that's what's happening in the brain bucket. Your beliefs, your attitudes, that's your second bucket. Third bucket is your behavior. Your sleep schedule. Oh, yours changed too, Tanya? That's cool. So we have, these are all B's, the 4 B's. Body, brain, behavior. So your sleep schedule, whether or not you consume adult beverages. I don't know why that was so hard to get out. And your lifestyle choices. I guess that would include adult beverages, but your lifestyle choices and the amount of sleep that you get. Because do you remember on Tuesday, I was talking about ways to support your libido? And the sweet spot for supporting your libido in the sleep department is between 7 and 9 hours. If you do not get that amount of sleep, it's impacting your libido, just the way it is. The last B in the bucket. So far we have brain, body, behavior. Maggie, thank you for the beautiful wings. Appreciate that. E9, thank you for the follow. Win Maggie in the chat. I am from, I live in Arizona, but I am originally from Canada, from Alberta. Last B bucket is bond, which is your relationship dynamics. F and Mir, thank you so much. Medication for sure impacts it. Mark, 100%. So body, brain, behavior, and bond. All of those things are impacting your ability to engorge the member below the waist to its full capacity and have optimal erectile health. Another issue is, like I mentioned at the very, very beginning of this live, is the self-diagnosis problem. Oftentimes, if there's one experience, one bad experience, maybe not bad, but one experience that perhaps did not go the way you thought it would go, it didn't meet your expectations. And again, I did a live 2 weeks ago on why expectations destroy relationships. Here's another example of expectations. You have a certain expectation that you think the chandelier is going to swing and that you are going to be getting busy between the sheets for 3 hours straight. You're setting yourself up for disappointment, because all too often when we have these expectations and we put pressure on ourselves to perform instead of to feel pleasure, it will impact the way your body works. Yes, I'm talking about erectile health as well. So when people self-diagnose, welcome back, Mrs. Mazouk. When people self-diagnose after one experience that potentially did not meet their expectations, they're like, I have ED. Probably not. What does that do? That creates panic. That very much brings upon some performance anxiety, and it creates a cycle of fear. Fear and erectile tissue are not friends. They are not friends. Because if you let fear drive your ship, you're not going to reach any type of goal of connection, goal of increased intimacy. It doesn't work that way. Han, thank you for the heart me. Let's talk about the psychological impact of ED. What do men often experience? A and A Dog Crew, thank you for the follow. Well, I mentioned at the very beginning that this live was going to be all about a discussion sans shame, no shame. Because men seem to equate a lot of their manhood with their ability to stand at attention. There's a lot of shame. Snap, thank you for the follow. There is embarrassment. There's fear of failure. There's loss of confidence. And like I mentioned, it hits your identity, your masculinity, your desirability, what you're telling yourself anyway. And so just an important reframe. It's not just physical. It's deeply emotional. Whitney, thank you for the follow. Hi, Lenny. How are you doing? Blue and yellows don't work. Changed my diet amongst other things and nothing has worked. Jay Lee, have you had like a physical examination? Have you had your prostate checked? Have you had your blood pressure checked? Have you ruled out any physical things? And if you have, then we need to have a chat. Ziomara, thank you for the heart me. Mr. Big Mike, Welcome to the fam. And I'll tell you, like I mentioned all the time, thank you, Miss Maggie, for the little kitty. Appreciate it. Your brain is so powerful when it comes to your sexual response cycle because you have one bad experience or one experience that did not meet your expectation. Guess what happens the next time? Your body remembers, your brain remembers. So it potentially creates anxiety for the next time, which increases pressure, which opens doors to more difficulty having that sexual response working at its optimal capacity. And then when another experience happens because of all this, there's reinforced fear. So you see how that cycle starts? Reinforced fear. What works best? You never gave a clear answer. That's what we're talking about here. It's very dependent on your situation because what works best for one person is probably not going to work best for another. That's why there are a lot of different variables we need to look at because everybody's situation is different. That's why I asked, have you had physical things ruled out? Diabetes plays a part. And I'm going to be talking about all of that kind of stuff. But know that pressure is the enemy of arousal. I am not a psychologist. I am a clinical sexologist. It very much impacts the relationship as well. What happens in couples? The partner experiencing ED is going to be avoidant of all things intimacy because they don't want to deal with it. So they perhaps withdraw. They perhaps feel inadequate. The other partner then feels rejected, questions their attraction, and they often internalize it. Again, a cycle starts. Disconnection increases. You don't want me? I'm failing you. Thank you for the rose. I appreciate that. What is the result of that? Distance, avoidance, and conflict. Why conflict? Needs are not being met. Not necessarily, Snoopy, at all. No. Most couples are reacting to the meaning, not the reality. We have all these thoughts, myths, misunderstandings, misinformation about ED. It's not reality. Do your homework. What kills? Well, I like to refer to it as arousal or libido because it technically is not a drive, but I went to school for it, Hunker. It's not technically a drive, but I do get where you're coming from and what impacts that. We did an entire live on it on Tuesday. So many things impact it. Stress, meds, sleep, education, the food that you put in your mouth, hormones, perhaps some physical ailments, trauma, what you tell yourself, a lot of misinformation. So it's not just one thing. People often equate ED and sometimes libido with, oh, they're just not attracted to me anymore. No, completely inaccurate. And here's like it's like a kind of like a random question, but it's Mrs. Mazook. Thank you so much for that. What was that? Cupid's bow. I appreciate that. And honey, thank you for the kitten kneading. Appreciate that. Or the kitten's kneading. Medication can cause so many issues besides 100%, Bob. Because, and the reason I want to talk about the psychological or the emotional impact is because here's a question for you. Have you ever taken something, anything personally that actually wasn't even about you? I know I have. I'm a pretty sensitive individual, so I used to take a lot of things personally. Dan, thank you so much for the popular. And Blue, thank you for the rose. Lady Lisa, thank you for the popular. How many people have taken something personally that was nothing about you? 100% Blue Butterfly. Adult beverages impact erectile health. Hydration impacts that, and he got booted. What you put in your body, the types of foods you choose impact that. Eric, I didn't see your question. It could have been filtered, Eric. I'm trying to keep up. But if you want to ask it again, Eric, I will do my best to answer it. Yes, I suffer with high blood pressure. Okay, so there you go. Because high blood pressure, that is impacting that's impacting your cardiovascular health. And as I mentioned before, cardiovascular health impacts erectile health. Coupled with diabetes, it's going to play a part in your erectile health. Thank you, Miss Maggie. I appreciate that. This doesn't look very clear. Maybe my here, I'm gonna just wipe this. Sorry, guys. I don't know if that helped or not. It's always interesting in here, isn't it? Okay, let's just quickly change this, and then we're going to get into talk about stats. I want to give you some stats, and I like to give stats when they're appropriate, because it's often a bit of a reality check. And I think that's often necessary for those people that potentially are a little bit more left-brained, because that's meaningful and that's helpful for them. Okay, I wish these were a little bit bigger. Oh, and I wish there wasn't so many to choose from, because it totally puts me off my game. I don't know. Let's just do it. I just picked one because it's taking too much time. Let's talk about some stats. Okay, so there are between about 30 to 50 million men in the US, okay? And if you're not in the US, I'm just using the US because that's where I'm at. Hey, Rob, thank you so much. Eric, what is the best thing to use? To get it back rock solid down below? Talking about that. All things that you can do naturally, I'm going to be talking about that for sure. Many, many things you can do. One of them is Rosie Rob. Thank you for the roses. Work on your sleep game, because that's when testosterone is doing its thing. That's when testosterone is produced. Strength training, feed yourself really healthy, nutritious foods. I'm going to be getting into all that. St. Adam, if we're not going to be respectful, we're getting booted. So 30 to 50 million men in the US. Thank you, Jerome. I appreciate you. 40% of men who are, so if we look at the men who are 40 and above, okay, ED has impacted 40% of them. By the time you hit 70, it has impacted 70% of men. So if you look at it that way, let's flip it. It's impacted 40% of partners at the age of 40 or slightly above. And obviously that number increases. And it has impacted 70% of their partners when they're 70 years old. So it impacts a lot of people. Miss Maggie, thank you for the beautiful bouquet. I appreciate you. Please note, age is a factor, but it's not everything. If you take care of your erectile health, thank you so much. ED is not something that you need to be worried about. Thank you, St. Adam, for the GG. ED is common, but not commonly talked about. And it's so common when you do talk about it that people have so much shame around it. And there doesn't need to be, because it's just your body sending you some information. Like, hey, I need you to pay a little bit more attention to this. How do they know when to take half of one, then a whole one? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Ashley. Yes, you can help me. Hey, Teddy. Thanks for the follow. And Casa, thank you for the follow. All right, let's talk about natural support and prevention, okay? Because the strength of the member below the waist is very dependent on vascular health. That's what's happening inside here in your heart, right? What about frequent mass? Oh, Lenny, self-pleasure, I'm going to highly recommend it. That is taking care of your erectile health for sure, men and women. But because we're talking about ED today, let's talk about our guys. If you've been in my live for any number of minutes, you know that self-pleasure is very much encouraged to help maintain that erectile health, men or women. Why? Because when you don't use it, those blood vessels that reach the end of the member shorten, as do the nerves. What did I mention at the very beginning? Nerves are sending messages. We need those guys. Blood vessels are sending blood to engorge that erectile tissue. If we're not using those and they're shortening, guess what's going to happen to the member below the waist? The little pill thing. We're talking about blue pills. Ashley, again, those aren't off the table when I'm talking to clients about erectile health or ED, but it's definitely not on my list of top 15 things or top first 15 things to do. It's a deep dive into all of those things that I was mentioning before, lifestyle choices. I mean, the four B's, right? We talked about what's happening in your body, what's happening in your brain, what's happening in your bond, your relationship dynamics, and what's happening with your behavior. Body, brain, bond, and behavior. And within those 4 buckets, I mentioned at least 3 things each. That's a lot of things that I dive into with clients, because if those physical things have been ruled out by your doctor, diabetes, prostate, heart health, if those have been ruled out, that's where things get interesting, and we dive in and figure out where the root of the problem is. Because the majority of times ED is what's happening between the ears, not what's happening between the legs. I started taking Cialis to work out, and that's because it's a Band-Aid and it's not a long-term solution. And that is why I don't recommend it as a first go-to. I just don't. More than anyone you know, I would love to be in that conversation where dudes get together and talk about how much they are releasing, because that's in the normal range. You're fine. Thank you very much for that kind comment. Being hurt emotionally by X nailed me. A mark very much impacts what's happening below the belt. And I'm really sorry that you've had to endure that. Pete, thank you for the follow. But here's the thing. All it takes is one step at a time, right? And finding those people that support you, and surrounding yourself with people that really encourage you to be who you are. And you're going to find somebody if you are in the market for a partner. You are. Because if you go out into the world with an opened mind, and that energy goes out there and it's magnetic. Hello from Denmark. One step at a time. And grief is a funny thing, because I often say libido is like a wave. I think grief is like a wave too, because just when you think you're riding the wave, it just smacks you right in the face. And that's okay, because that's part of the journey. But I also think that when you have gone through a breakup, that's a really beautiful space to get to know you a little better, right? And to look at what you brought to the table. and perhaps think, okay, like, can I elevate my skills in the communication department? How have I been showing up in conflict? Is there something that I can work on there? Have I been the kind of partner that I want in my life? And if that's a no, then you've got work to do. Thank you for the rose. I appreciate that. Okay. Whoa. Okay, let us go to my next little section. We talked about relationship impact. We talked about the stats. Let's talk about prevention. I mentioned that erections really have to do with how your heart is pumping. What can I give my wife? You can give your wife support. You can give your wife appreciation. You can give your wife fulfillment of the needs that she has. Emotional safety is such an intimacy increaser. And I can tell you, if women in particular, it's a great first step. It works with men too, but other things work with men just as well. But with women, work on that emotional safety. Yeah, and if we're not being respectful, we're out of here. Because I don't want to waste anybody's time in here. That's why we're given, like, I think this community is built to help spread knowledge and be a sense of support, and be a place where we can talk about uncomfortable things without shame, without guilt, without somebody being disrespectful. And I appreciate those of you who are coming and being respectful and kind in the chat. So I appreciate you. Everybody else, bye. Let's talk about lifestyle support. What can you do in your lifestyle to increase or decrease the chances that ED will play a part in your life? Are you ready? Movement and exercise. I know. I talk about this a lot. This impacts libido as well. I'm not asking you to go out and run a marathon. I'm not asking you to lift 400 pounds above your head. I'm just not. I'm just asking you to move your body. Why? We were built to move. We were not built to be sedentary. And so our overall health is impacted by not moving. When your overall health is impacted by you not moving, guess what's happening to your sexual health? Samesies. So move your body. Thank you for the populars, Miss Maggie. I appreciate you. And thank you for the greeting hearts. Sleep. And again, I talked about on Tuesday how much sleep. Thank you. I appreciate. Look at that. You're doing a good job. Aw. It's funny because it doesn't matter if you're 2 or you're 200. It always feels good when someone gives you a little pat on the back. And that's why I said to that person that said, how can I get my wife to want it as much as I did, or whatever the verbiage was? When you are given a little bit of positive reinforcement, it makes a difference. I love mods too. And I have the best mod squad. And I'm very appreciative of them. So thank you, mods. Positive reinforcement. It works with your kiddos. It works with your friends. It works with your parents. It works with your partner. Use it. Positive reinforcement. I'm just telling you, it's very underrated. And that appreciation that is felt is an emotional need. When emotional needs are fulfilled, emotional safety increases. When emotional safety increases, the connection increases. When connection increases, the libido increases. And this also supports erectile health. Here's my cheerleaders again. Hello from Egypt. Of course you can follow me. You don't need to ask, but I appreciate it. So, sleep, movement, and here's another one, stress management. And I get it. This world is a very stressful place to be breathing on right now. I get it. Please understand that when your nervous system is dysregulated, it impacts what happens between the ears, which then impacts what happens between the legs. Find something that helps you regulate your nervous system. Movement is actually a really good one. Go for a walk. Music, community, doing things like this that positively impact your life, or a church or another group that you belong to. Whatever that looks like for you, take advantage of it. Thank you. I appreciate your kind comments. Stress management, because what cortisol does is it demolishes libido. When you have zero libido, do you think that's going to impact your sexual arousal? 100%. Luigi, what were you given as recommendations originally? Because I want to know what you have done. You should have a chat group for your mod. Shauna's awesome mod squad. The best mod squad. I honestly talk to my mods almost every day anyway, Lenny. So I'm lucky. Ah, Lady Lisa. They say hello right back. That's really cute. Here's the thing: when somebody tells me their credentials below the waist, it doesn't matter to me what your inches are, whether you're 1 inch or 15 inches. That doesn't matter. If you are hurting your partner, you're not doing your job, because this should not hurt. So foreplay is a thing, and if you might have adopted the belief that foreplay is just the 20 minutes before you jump in the sheets. It's just not. It starts the second after your last encounter between the sheets, and then it goes to your next one. Every single solitary opportunity that you have to interact with your partner either breeds connection or breeds disconnection. When you look at it that way, the flirting, the having fun together, the little ritualistic things that connect you, like the kisses on the cheek, the little hugs when you come home, the texts that you send, whatever it might be, the little looks from across the room, whatever it is, that is all foreplay. Lady Lisa, thank you for the rose. That breeds connection, and then that increases that level of Miss Maggie, thank you for the beautiful bouquet. That emotional safety. That keeps you connected. That impacts your sexual arousal, your sexual response cycle. It doesn't take as much work getting that natural lubrication to be fully functioning, to get that blood where it needs to be. Thank you for the bouquet. Win African and Win Maggie in the chat. I appreciate it. Just going to work on this puzzle piece here. Schmeck should not be painful. So again, if it is, you're not doing your job. With regards to Kegels, there was a mention of Kegels in here. Kegels I've done videos on Kegels before, only if your pelvic floor muscles are weak or you would like to maintain their strength. Some people don't need Kegels if they already have really tight pelvic floor muscles. The majority of us do not, but Kegels are great for men and women. Judy, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the fam. Alpha, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the fam. Lock Wizard, thank you for the follow. And Eli, thank you for the follow. I'm conscious about my size. However, my girlfriend thinks it's quite big. I feel small. Then stop listening to what's happening between your ears. The majority of men are, Seth. And so there's no need for shame, no need for blame here. But if you are having conversations with your girlfriend and she is feeling pleasure and she thinks it's fantastic, then believe that. Gord, thank you for the heart me. I appreciate that. Wow, imagine being 60 years old and doing this. So sad. I'm not really sure what that means, but I'm not 60. But whatever. Size is not the issue as long as you both enjoy it. Lady Lisa, it's all about communication, right? What do you like? What are your turn-ons? What are your turn-offs? What are you open to trying? All those kinds of things. Hey, need some advice on the stop and squeeze method for... What do you need advice on? I think my BF has low T. Patty, is he open to getting tested? Because that's a quick fix. My girlfriend uses her toy all the time. And is that something that you are not comfortable with, or are you okay with that? Because if that's used to enhance, then I would like to know your thoughts. Redeem, why does that need to be a conversation? Because that's your opinion. Okay, let's get back to prevention. We are talking about movement and exercise. Tea therapy is very helpful. We are talking about that sweet spot in sleep. We were talking about stress management, which somebody I did see said meditation. That's another wonderful thing. Breathing exercises are great. So there's lots of different things that can bring down that cortisol level. Find something that works for you. Martin, I am certified to do that. However, I have chosen not to. So all of my one-on-ones or the work that I do with couples is over video. I do group sessions, in-person group sessions with certain topics like how to reach a big O for women, oral tips for women. What else do I do? Sex ed for young adults. I do those in person. I'm concerned. It has nothing to do with self-pleasure, user, at all. That's something that you probably told yourself over and over and over. Yes, muscle does have memory, so consider switching things up, but self-pleasure does not cause ED. I've been celibate for 10 years, and the next time I have schmacks will be the very first time without adult beverages. Randy, let me be the first to tell you that that's an awesome thing. Because when we don't need adult beverages and we focus on the moment and focus on connection and focus on the other person, it's a beautiful thing. Thanks, Dandy. That's funny. At least you didn't say I was 60. Appreciate that. And here, my next thing on my little outline here is with lifestyle support is decreasing the amount of adult beverages that you consume, because that impacts erectile function. Avoid the little white things that you put in your mouth and that you light on fire. Those are vasoconstrictors, which means the blood vessels, the capacity for the blood to flow to the very tip of said unit is constricted with the use of those little white things. You can 100% book a one-on-one with me. You can send me a DM. What are you looking for? What advice are you looking for? Martin, I don't know your specific situation. The blue pill is not something that I recommend unless all the little things on my checklist, which are about 25, have been checked off. Is it off the table completely? But no, I consider that a Band-Aid, and it does not get to the root of the problem. And people come to rely on it, and then they think that that's what they need. Same thing with vapes. Yeah, Wilson. It's a vasoconstrictor. Alex, thank you for the follow. Another one is TikTok doesn't like when you say this either, but I'm going to say it anyway. if your body mass is considered high for your stature, that impacts your erectile function as well. What is the benefit of it? Well, it's not called a G-spot in a man, but I get where you're coming from. It's the prostate, and you can access it through the back end or by stimulating the perineum, which is the space between the jewels and the backside. It's that really soft tissue between the two. I would show you, I have models, but again, I will get kicked off like I did 2 weeks ago, so I can't do that. But if you stimulate the perineum, you can access that spot in men or through the back end. What about GLP-1s? What about them? So if I don't, that depends on your body. 2 weeks. That depends on your body when it comes to VAPEing, because if that is a lifestyle choice that you're using, it's a vasoconstrictor. It impacts you long term. So yes, it impacts your sexual functioning long term, unless you quit. I think boyfriend, 69 years, has low T. He is fatigued and takes long naps. I love that he takes long naps, Patty, because that is supporting a lot of things, and that's when T is produced. However, I would like to know, maybe Patty, if you want to reach out to me and give me a list of the other symptoms that he has, maybe you and I can come up with a little bit of a plan. Brian, this sounds really bad. How do I get my wife to do a healthy weight? How do I bring it up? Can you do it together, Brian? Like say, as I get older, I understand that it's more important to take care of ourselves and be eating properly. I watched a live today on erectile health, and I know that I need to be taking care of myself. Would you be willing to? Would you want to jump on that road with me? Because I want to be as healthy as I can for as long as I can. I want to be able to run with my grandkids. I want to be able to climb Mount Everest. I want to be able to whatever, fill in the blank. Thank you, Maggie, for the bouquet. I guess that's a yes. Ron, I didn't see your comment or question. I'm sorry. Is the prostate pleasurable for every man? That's a really good question, because for many, it is really, really intense. And they love it. There's nothing better. But for many, it is really, really intense, and they enjoy other things more. So that's a personal preference thing. Joe, thank you so much for the popular. If you are using it according to what your doc has suggested, there's so many people that are using GP1s or GLPs right now that are getting it off the internet, they're not doing it under the careful eye of their doc, because it's a more of a whole body experience, Taz. It can be very intense, and some people love intense. Some people think that was too much for me. The majority of men that I have spoken to and counseled on like it. Ethan, I am well, thank you. How are you? Japan, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the fam. Okay, foods that help. Are you ready? I'm going to give you a list. If someone you know is trying to support their erectile health, or if they are suffering from ED, here are some foods that help. Yes, Lisa, compounds. If you are on a compounded form of GLPs, I suggest you are not. Get it from your doc. Why would you mess with your body like that? Do it right. Because I think that those can be very beneficial if they are needed and if you use them correctly. Foods that help ED. Leafy greens, berries, citrus fruits, whole grains, nuts and seeds, fish, beets, 100%, olive oil. How should you get diagnosed if you are not sure you have ED? Okay, so I went through at the beginning of this live on why ED is like over-diagnosed. And I mean, like, people often self-diagnose. I have ED, I have ED, you know. I had a really bad experience between the sheets, and then it's just, I just can't get over it. Okay. It's not funny. I'm not meaning to laugh at it. But the thing that is frustrating is that we start to Google these symptoms, erectile tissue or erectile problems, can't get it up, or whatever you write. And then you push send and you get all of these articles and all of these things that validate the fact that you have a problem, when in fact you might not. Because, as I mentioned, there's so many things that go into ED, such as what's going on in your brain, what's going on in your body. Cherry, my little cheerleader. Your lifestyle choices, and what's happening in your relationship. Because erections involved, your brain needs to be on board, your blood flow needs to be on board, your nerves need to be on board, your hormones need to be on board, and your emotional safety, your relationship climate needs to be on board. I am married, so I haven't dated for forever and a day, and I am done in that department. A lot of people think that one bad night, or being tired, stressed, distracted, they had too much to drink, their libido is low, they suffer from infertility, they have release issues. They think, oh my gosh, because that's happening to me, I have ED. No, you don't. If you consistently struggle with getting your member to stand at attention and maintaining a strong attention span, or if the firmness doesn't stay for as long as you would hope and want, consistently, and your relationship is on par, you're taking care of your body, you are, how do I say this? Your heart is working properly, there isn't any physical problems with you, then you do not have ED. You might have just, like I was mentioning at the beginning, your brain is your most powerful schmeck's organ. What you tell it very much impacts. Hey, Lisa, thank you for the heart me. What's happening below the waist? So if one of those things is impacted by stress or lack of sleep or something else, try and get that on board first. If you have exhausted all options and you're really taking care of yourself, you're getting enough sleep, you are, you have engaged in self-pleasure and you're taking care of your erectile health that way. If your partner is very supportive, if all of those things are happening and you're still having issues consistently, then go talk to your doc. No shame. It's just ED again is doesn't mean you're broken. It just is information that your body is telling you. I have no libido and desire. And Karen, if you could care less about it, that's just fine. If you do care about it, Cherry, thank you for the heart me, then that is when we start making small shifts in our lifestyle choices, or certain decisions that we're making. Does intimacy lower when someone gets older? Wheezy, no. I love that question. And the answer is no. It doesn't have to. It's a choice. What is a healthy amount of pleasure? Like 2 to 3 times a week? Beautiful, Jeff. Whatever works for you that doesn't impact your life like as a whole. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people say, reach out and say, they give me a number. Is this within the normal range? And if it does not impact your life in a negative way, if you are not using it to replace something, love it. Hit the gym and stop watching adult film. That is also a fantastic idea because exercise increases blood flow. It increases testosterone production. Stop watching adult film. I think if you're using that again as a replacement, that's going to impact your life between the sheets for sure. If you are using adult film as a way to increase the level of spice or intimacy in your relationship, use what works for you and your partner, but don't do it in secret. That causes problems because you don't fix erectile health in the bedroom. You support it in your daily life. Vera, how are you? Nice to see you. What if it's more? It's fine, Duke. There's a range of healthy, and the majority of I don't put it out there because then people get this number in their brain and then they just like roll with it. The majority of people, when they give me their number, it's in a normal range. Excellent. I was married for 20 years, just got divorced. This month will be 1 year. Karen, it's a journey, and it's a healing journey, and a lot happens, and there's loss, and there's grieving, and that's fine. Cherry, thank you so much for the Cupid's bow. Been through it, Karen. It's hard. I told myself never again, ever, ever, ever again, ever. And here I am married. And I am the most stubborn person ever on the planet that I have ever met anyway. So things can change. Okay. People also ask me, thank you, Ashley, for the rose. People like to ask me about supplements as well. And supplements for ED aren't always the safest way to go because that industry is not regulated. So please be careful. I always encourage you to ask your doc because I look at it like a stew. One of the first questions that I ask clients is, please send me a list of your meds. Thank you, Lady Lisa. I've learned a lot. Send me a list of your meds. And the reason I do that is because everybody has their own little stew and everything works together if your doc has been on board and is working with you, right? Everything works together. When you start adding supplements that don't work in your stew, you're going to upset the apple cart. So be careful. How to be loyal to my partner and controlling my libido. Raz, that's a conversation. When you have a high libido, I mean, please know that in every relationship, there's a HDP and an LDP, a low desire partner and a high desire partner. And it's about communicating together, and it's about finding a frequency that works for both of you. You don't need to control anything, Raz. I encourage you to look at it slightly different. Find a frequency that works for both. And if there is a partner that is a LDP, lower desire partner, and they're frustrated with that, there's so many things you can do to support LDP as well. Oftentimes it's an emotional safety thing. Or perhaps they're overwhelmed, or perhaps there's, I don't know your situation, but perhaps there's an imbalance of things that are happening that just need to be worked out. There's more of a balance with regards to chores or needs being met or fill in the blank. I mean, if you made a commitment to your partner, I mean, that's your answer. That's how you be loyal. I made a commitment. I understand it's easier said than done. So have a sit down chat, and that should be a consistent sit down chat. How are we doing this week? What did I do this week to make you feel loved? What can I do better next week? How can I, is there any needs that you have that you would like me to help you fulfill? I understand that, a partner can't fulfill one person's needs. That's just not how we were wired. That's why we have community. That's why we have family. That's why we have best friends. But how you be loyal, it's a choice. I'm going to be loyal, and then you are loyal. Trying to conceive during her window, but schmex feels like a task. What do you suggest? Ardon, that's such a common question, and I love that you asked that, because sometimes it feels like a chore. It feels like a duty. It feels like it's like, frick, there's a purpose here. And this is about reaching a goal. We have to have schmacks in this window, and it takes the fun out of it. So what I suggest you to do is have a little tiny calendar, and when her window is, perspective shift. Instead of looking at it like a chore, plan something fun around that. Do something fun together. Have a little date, a little naked picnic. Go out and do something that you like to do. Have fun together. Build that recreational intimacy. Laugh together. But I mean, I know that's in the back of your mind, but it's also a reframe. Instead of I have to, it's I get to, because this is the best potential that we have to conceive a teeny tiny little muffin that we want. If you're trying to set yourself up for success in the conceiving department, set yourself up for success in the emotional safety in the connection department. Stop making it about performance and reaching a goal. Make it about connection. When we feel deeply connected during those times of her cycle, what does that look like for you? How can we make it fun? Sit down with her and have a chat. This is starting to feel like a chore, and I don't want it to feel like a chore, honey. I want this to be fun. I want us to look back. And when we have this little teeny muffin that we're cradling in our arms, I don't want it to look back and say, geez, that sucked. Do you remember? Like it was so, like, it felt like so much pressure. I love you too, Laura. Switch it up. It is what you make of it. And I understand it's easier said than done. Do it anyway. It's like having uncomfortable conversations. It's like having people tell me, I don't want to talk about schmacks, but I want an incredible schmacks life. Well, the two don't exist together. If you want to make it fun again, make it fun. What are some things that you guys used to love to do? Laura, thank you for the roses. Like, sit down and say, you know what, honey, I am kind of tired that I'm tired of this space that we're in, and I want to make it fun again. So let's make a list of all the fun things that we used to do. Like, what used to really turn us on and drive each other crazy? Can we do that again? Let's just try to incorporate a couple of those things. And let's just try to make it fun. How can we best assist member function when we don't have a partner? That's what self-pleasure is for, Lenny. Ardon, you could even make I had a client last week do this. They made, two people had two different color papers. So wife had one color, hubby had another color. They wrote down 10 things that they were excited to do with the other person. And they cut those pieces of paper up and threw them in a bucket, or threw them in a little mason jar. And then they pulled them out. And so this week, let's see what we're doing this week. Or let's see what we're doing today. And it doesn't need to cost a lot of money at all. But it just puts a different spin on things. I don't have ED, but use Blue Chew from time to time. To last super long. Am I fine doing so? Again, it's a Band-Aid, right? I don't recommend it. I recommend finding other ways. There's exercises that you can do to train yourself to last longer. There's things that you can do. There's things that you can tell yourself. There's focus exercises. There's so many other things you can do. I've been told too much artificial. That is incorrect, Lenny. And it's not artificial stimulation. If you are touching your own body, it's not artificial stimulation. If you are using a toy, that doesn't cause leakage. Okay. What helps with blood circulation? A lot of different things can help with blood circulation. Exercise for one. Feeding your body healthy foods for one. Keeping your weight at a healthy rate helps. What else can help? Keeping your stress level down. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. So please, the last thing I mentioned before we went off on a tangent, supplements aren't always safe, so be careful. Marco, thank you for the heart me. Because hidden ingredients are common. What you read on the ingredient list sometimes are not exactly what you find. So just please do your research when it comes to some of these comments are crazy today. And I get it because we're talking about ED, but my goodness. When to seek help. Are you ready? I am doing well. Thank you, Wealthy. How are you? Marco, thank you for the rose. When we're talking about GLPs, I don't want them compounded. I want you working with your medical provider. If you're doing it the right way, you should be fine. Marco, look at you leveling up, number 16. Congratulations. That's why awesome mods are needed. Yes, Mod Squad is on point today. They're probably sweating. Okay, when you have had that consistent issue below the waist, and I'm talking consistent, I would encourage, no, self-pleasure does not cause ED. RG, we talked about libido on Tuesday, and yes, there are a lot of different things. Maca root is one of my faves. Ashwagandha to decrease stress, another fave. But please know, anything that you take, I want it from a reputable, third-party tested, in like reputable facilities. I don't like a lot of the supplements out there. So if you want some specific recommendations, you can DM me. Thank you, Rick, for the rose. So I encourage early support. If you find that you're having a consistent issue with your erectile health, ongoing, recurrent, I just want to reiterate that. If it is impacting the confidence in yourself or your relationship, if it is perhaps associated with other health conditions, please go see your doc. Because ED, like I said at the very beginning, is information that's telling your body that your body is trying to tell you, and it can be important insight that something else is going on. It could have something to do with your cardiovascular health. It could have something to do with diabetes. It could have something to do with a hormone imbalance, all of which are very manageable. Then Eddie, go back and talk to your doc, and perhaps you could get on something different, or the dosage could be adjusted slightly. That's the thing that frustrates me a lot about when we go into our doctor and we need a prescription for something. A lot of the side effects are not addressed. And a lot of times prescription meds impact sexual health, and it's not talked about. And that sucks, because that impacts your relationship. Miss Maggie, thank you for the bouquet. Pariah, that's a pretty name. Hi, Sally. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the repost, Sally. I hope you're doing well. Dubai sell cars. Thank you for the follow. So please know that if you are struggling with erectile health issues, it could just be some information that something else is awry in your body that needs to be addressed. And if all of the physical things have been ruled out, then we need to look at what's happening in between your ears. Many men wait months to years. Years. Think about how much that will impact your confidence and your relationship. Because there's a lot of shame involved. And they become very avoidant. And a lot of it is based on fear. And guess what? Relationships are not places where shame and fear should ever be. Okay. Much love to you, Lenny. Is corn, we're going to say corn rocky because TikTok doesn't like that word with a P. So I don't want you to get flagged or booted off. So I'm going to use this a C for corn. It depends. If you are using it to positively impact, your, wow, life between the sheets, I have no problem with that. If that works for you and that is something that you and your partner enjoy, fantastic. If you are using it as a replacement of your partner, or if you're using it in secrecy, red flag. Hey, Marilyn, how are you? What happens if you don't ejaculate or have sex for years? Is it healthy? Mac, no barking. Mac, I would just encourage you to get back into a healthy pattern for you of self-pleasure, if that is something that interests you, because it is healthy. And a year is not a big deal. So I wouldn't worry about that. But I would encourage you to start taking care of your erectile health, which includes self-pleasure. I am doing well, very, very well today. Thank you, Wealthy. How are you? Okay, so let's make an agreement that there's no room for shame. There's no room for fear around these kind of topics. And is it uncomfortable to talk about? Yep. But if you look at it as I mentioned a few times during this live, in that it's just information that your body is telling you. And we're all human. So if you have low libido, it's information that your body's telling you. If you have higher libido, information that your body's telling you. If you have issues with your erectile health, just information. No shame. No shame. Just information that perhaps you might need to pull up your socks and start taking care of yourself. Maybe perhaps getting more sleep, or choosing more healthy foods, or moving your body a little bit more. Doesn't need to be embarrassing. And I understand that's what society, the beliefs that society has placed on us, that doesn't mean we have to accept them. Role play works in a marriage, 100%, Wheezy. If both people are on board. If one person is like, really thinks that role play would be fun, and the other's like, that's not for me, then there might need to be a bit of back and forth and a few conversations. Because a lot of times when people say that's not for me, or no way, there is a little bit of fear because they lack the information to understand what perhaps role play might look like for you. So if you've had the conversation, well, this is what role play might look like for me, and I think it would be kind of fun. We don't have to do A, B, C, and D, but would you consider E, F, G, and H? Like, that wasn't too threatening of a way I brought that up. Pat, I don't know what your current situation looks like, but body mass impacts erectile strength. Yes. Is it bad to self-pleasure on your period? Clara, that's a fantastic question. And the answer is no. And why am I saying no? It is not bad. In fact, it is a fantastic time to self-pleasure, because when we go through our sexual response cycle, and perhaps you hit the big O, perhaps you don't, you are in a state of pleasure, right? And if you hit the big O, a lot of things are released in your body that feel like pain relievers. I have to be careful what I say on here because TikTok doesn't like a lot of things that I say about that. But those chemicals that are released are stronger than some of the OPIODs. So it is a great way to combat cramps, a lot of other things that happen during your period or even before your period. So that's a fantastic question. Love it. You're welcome. Thank you for having the courage to ask. Yes, AKA, it is. Hey, Kelly, or Kellen? Cool name. Hey, Bloom. Nice to see you. Okay, so let's get back to this. Fire, thank you for the follow. You and your hubby say the same expressions. We do? Like what, Ashley? That's funny. That's what happens when you spend so much time with somebody. That's funny. My language is a lot different than my husband's language. If no health issue is happening, can andropause be a key player in ED? It could be, Jada. It could be. I would first, as a specialist, talk about what's happening between the ears. Because a lot of times people are quick to jump and blame it on something, but it could be for sure. But that is kind of a health issue too, because andropause, not all men go through it. Unlike menopause, which all women will go through menopause, but andropause is the slow, it's not like estrogen in menopause that like depletes quickly. Andropause is a very, very slow decline of testosterone. But for sure, I mean, testosterone is a key player in erectile health for sure. It's something that you could just get tested. You have an accent? Dan. I do not. You do. No, my husband makes fun of me all the time, and I'm from Canada, so I guess I have a Canadian accent. Follower, it has to work for you. So if you are talking about self-pleasure or being with a partner, the frequency has to work for you. What do I mean between the ears? Great question. I mean that our brain is our most powerful sexual organ. So what we tell it matters. What we believe matters. Our attitudes towards our body, towards our partner, towards what's happening between our thighs, it matters. And that impacts erectile health. Somebody asked him, I just finished my prostate cancer radiation. I'm on, and I didn't lose any libido. I didn't lose any libido or have ED. I love that for you, Michael. I love that. I'm so happy that it's over for you and now you can get back to life. That's awesome. Somebody asked about the average size. If we're talking, I'm not sure if you're talking about a flaccid or an erect. So I don't know if you're talking about that, but flaccid is about 3.6 or 3.7 inches. And an erect is between 5.1 and 5.5 inches. That is the average. You're welcome, Michael. Okay. We talked about trying to get help easy, or not easy, early. Because of the information that your body is telling you, it could perhaps mean that you need to address other issues, right? And so the longer we avoid it, the bigger problem it becomes. Oh, thank you very much for the, I don't know what that was. It didn't show me. Thank you for that gift. I said flaccid. So erectile tissue is either flaccid or erect, meaning it has blood in it and the erectile tissue is engorged. And that's what makes it stand at attention if you are a male. And that's what makes the female's erectile tissue expand to between 3 and 4 times its size. So flaccid is when it is not erect, and obviously erect is when it's erect. Flaccid. Yeah, Flacid. Okay. What can a partner do? Because it impacts a partner as well. I like to encourage partners to be supportive, or you're going to get booted because that's not respectful and that's not the kind of community that we have in here. Spam. Self-pleasure, we can call it in here, is very healthy, and it actually enhances, it improves your erectile health. E. Sanchez is a longtime watcher. I love it. Thank you, E. Sanchez. So my thoughts on it as a clinical sexologist, I encourage it. It's very healthy for your body. Contrary to what society tells us, and the shame and the guilt and the blame and the furry paws and the you're going to go blind, that's all BS. Not accurate. Science and research matters, not speculation and misinformation. Thoughts on corn. We have to say corn in here, Aiden, or else you will get flagged. Again, I brought it up a few times in the live. I think if it's used as a tool to increase the level of intimacy that you have and to spice things up, fantastic if that's your thing. If it's used as a replacement of your partner and it's used in secrecy without their knowledge and you haven't had conversations about it, red flag, and it's going to cause problems in your relationship. Self-help causes ED. It does not inspire the soul. Self-pleasure increases your level of erectile health. We have been taught as a society that self-pleasure is not good for you or your partner or whatever. That is incorrect. It does not desensitize you. That is incorrect. See, I love all these myths that come in here, and I'm so grateful for them being in the chat. Here's the thing about desensitization. People think this about toys as well. Incorrect. The thing that happens is not desensitization, but it's muscle memory. It's your body remembering. Your body gets lazy. That's what we're human. We get lazy. So if you are doing the same, this is what I say to my couples too. If you have the same exact position every single solitary time you jump between the sheets, over time, it impacts connection. Switch it up. Same thing with self-pleasure. Same thing with toys. You know your body best. So if you are doing the same thing, the same movements, the same pressure, the same exact thing every single solitary time, your body gets lazy. It's not a desensitization at all. Research has very specifically denounced, disproved, wrong. Switch it up. Stop being lazy. There's my kick in the pants today. I'm a 53-year-old Aussie and my schmex drive and sexual performance has never been better. I am so bad. Love it, Holden. You're taking care of yourself. I love it. Honey, thank you for the greeting hearts. Does higher red blood cells mess with your erection? Here's the thing, Jake. When you say higher, I don't know what your levels are at, so I can't speak to that. Well, Jeb, there's different pressures, there's different movements, there's things you can do differently. We are very patterned people. We do the same thing every single day. The same foot gets out of the bed. Your patterns are the same. You brush your teeth the same way. You brush your hair the same way if you have hair. You put your right sock in first, then you put your right shoe in. Like we do the same thing every time. And the same thing goes with self-pleasure. Like you are very patterned in most behaviors that you engage in. Switch it up. Okay, as a partner, I encourage you to be supportive, meaning you stay calm, you lead with curiosity as opposed to judgment and accusations, and your goal is to stay connected. Thank you for the greeting hearts. I appreciate that. But I can't compete with a vibrator. I love this comment so much. It's not about competing. It's about getting curious and learning more about your partner. That vibrating toy, it's being guided to the exact places that garner pleasure. So learn from it. George, how are you? Hey, Chrissy Poo, thank you for the heart me. Learn from it. If your partner is in control of that said adult toy, or you are, and you know which spots to use, it's not about competing. It's about increasing your knowledge of your partner's body. It might not be the same, but it's not a competition. It feels different, and you can get pleasure out of both scenarios, but it's just different. Please don't see it as a competition, because there's nothing better than an actual physical connection with somebody. If you're talking about sperm count, Aiden, if you are releasing every single solitary time and you are trying to conceive, that is going to, and if you're doing that on your own, that is going to impact 100%. Ziomara, thank you for the bouquet. I appreciate you. It's not a competition, but it is, if you are in that frame of mind, I invite you to have a conversation, because no one is inferior to something that is like a machine. There's nothing that takes the place of like a one-on-one connection. Is ED something 25-year-olds face? It can be. It can be. There's no age. Your chances of experience it do increase with age if you are not taking care of your erectile health, but you can have issues with your erectile health at 25. Correct. You can. So some helpful language. We'll figure this out together. This does not change how I feel about you. This is just information your body is telling you. So let's take the information and let's figure it out, right? There's no judgment there. There's no accusations there. There's no, like, that's connecting language, right? So it's all about reducing pressure, because the person that is dealing with this already has mass amounts of pressure that they put on themselves because they're not enough. They're broken. They don't work, whatever they're telling themselves, right? So if we can expand our sort of thoughts and our definition of what intimacy looks like while we're supporting our partner in this journey, because it's not all about penetration. It's not. Keeping the connection alive is really important. It's about having those intimate conversations. It's about having fun together. There's 5 different kinds of intimacy: financial, recreational, intellectual, physical, spiritual. I might be missing one. But those are all things that you can work on that have nothing to do with jumping between the sheets and actually worrying about how erect your member is. And those parts of intimacy are just as important. I encourage you not to bring shame into the conversation, nor blame, nor make assumptions, because you are not in their shoes. You do not know exactly how they feel unless they've expressed it. Please do not put pressure on them. Safety creates arousal, pressure destroys it. Dang, there are people getting blocked left and right. Thank you so much, mods. What are some myth busters? Let's do that to close out, shall we? What are some myths that you have heard about ED? Hey, Rush. Anybody care to share? Size? I love this because every time we talk about members below the waist, this question comes up. Everybody has their preferences. Oh, thank you, Maggie. But it's about having a conversation of what pleasure looks like to your partner, because every body is different. Every body feels pleasure differently. So if you don't know what turns your partner on and what parts of their body they like stimulated and how they like them stimulated, you have some conversations to have. How do you fix delayed? We've got some good questions here. Is PIED serious? Can you fix it? Yes, you can fix. There's a bug in here. That's we'll say corn-induced ED, right? It's just a reboot of the brain. Remember how I said your brain is your most powerful schmex organ? We just need to reboot it. And it's about abstaining. It's about changing behaviors. It's about restoring your sensitivity to real life intimacy. Oh, Maggie, sorry, I keep forgetting. Okay, let's do this. Okay, anybody have any myths that they have heard about ED that you want to share? Because I live in Arizona, let's do the cactus shuffle. I heard somebody else talking about this today. I haven't seen it. Let's see if it's available. I'm gonna have to take my mods out for a relaxing evening after this. I'm so sorry. I have not, no. I do not do filler. They do not think about older you are, the more challenging. If you don't take care of your erectile health, absolutely. But if you do, age is not, it shouldn't be a factor. That condoms make you less erect. Actually, it's so funny, the things that I hear about, let's call them, what can we call them? Condominiums, okay? So many people have such negative things to say about them. And again, a lot of what you tell yourself comes to fruition, right? So I don't feel as much. It affects the strength of my member below the waist. And to that I say, when you find a brand and a material that works for you, I call BS. I just do. There are many out there that will impact and that will decrease sensitivity. Find another one. If you are not in a long-term relationship with like commitment, and if perhaps something did happen and you were with child, condominiums break and they're not foolproof. They're not foolproof. That said, I would never recommend not using one unless you are in the type of relationship that I just explained. Or you are okay, or you're trying to conceive. Thank you for the follow, Gaba. They say exposing the testicles to the sun boosts testosterone. That's interesting. You know what's interesting about that? Is that when you increase the level of when you increase the temperature of, let me use your verbiage. Oh, I don't know if I can say that in here. So when you increase the temperature of the joules, it impacts the quality of things that are happening down there. I have egg-filled lice. Why is it being harder to manage? I don't understand that. Okay. Joe. 6:02 p.m. Oh my goodness, my watch is talking to me. It scared me. There's so many things that are happening to your body when you're in a sauna. It can be so incredibly healthy for you. It doesn't cause ED, but it's going to impact the way your heart is, your blood flow, your perhaps stress level, if cortisol, like different things happen to different people in a sauna. Just same thing as a jacuzzi, same thing with really tight underwear. It's going to impact circulation down there. Leah Mary, how are you? Thank you for the cactus shuffle, Maggie. So rapid fire myths. One time that you have an issue is ED. Wrong. Another myth is that ED means that there's waning attraction or that the attraction has disappeared. Wrong. Another myth, only older men deal with it. We've talked about that. Wrong. It's all mental. Wrong. There's, like I mentioned before, there's physical factors that impact erectile health as well. Again, erectile dysfunction is not a failure. It's just feedback. It's just information your body's telling you. Exactly like high libido, low libido. Information your body's telling you. Just like the feelings. Any type of feeling that you have, whether you're mad, angry, sad, frustrated, overwhelmed, whatever it is, just information. Corn, we're going to refer to it, does not cause ED. No. The way you navigate it in your relationship could impact your relationship, your relational strength and the connection in your relationship. So that could be a factor, but it's not the corn itself. Hello, Bolivia. You can ask me for sure. What ED is, in my books, is your body asking for support. And there's no room for shame. What do you do? What do you do if your prostate goes high? What do you mean goes high? If you are having issues with your prostate, you need to get it checked out, for sure. But please know, not every erection issue is ED. ED is common, it is treatable, pressure makes it worse, early support matters. It's a team issue if you're in a relationship, not an individual failure. It's a multi-factor multifactorial issue. And here's my 4 buckets. It has to do with what's happening in your body, your brain. It has to do with your behavior and the bond or your relationship dynamics. So it's not just a one factor issue. Can stress and tiredness cause it? Stress impacts erectile health, as does being tired, 100%. We're just wrapping up, Lewis. We were talking about ED, what you can do and what it is, what it isn't. Self-pleasure does not cause ED, nor does corn. Lily, welcome in. We're just wrapping up, Lily. I hope that you are doing well, and I hope you had a great Easter. That depends on depends on your specific circumstances. How long does it take to abstain? Because everybody's situation is different. Like the window is usually 30 to 90 days, and I understand that that's a long window, but that's very dependent on your circumstances. I heard, Lily, you did tell me. How did it go? Okay. So for those of you who are well behaved in here, I very much appreciate your respect and your ability to have an adult conversation. It's important, it matters, and I appreciate it so much. Corn does it. It depends on how you use it, Yusuf. It depends on how you use it. If you use it as a tool to enhance the level of intimacy in your relationship, it is not a negative thing at all. So I want to dispel that myth because that is very much incorrect. If you are using it in secret and not telling your partner about it, if you are using it to replace intimate time, if you're using it to replace intimacy, and you are using it to avoid your partner, of course that's going to play a role in messing up your dopamine reward system. It's not every single solitary time somebody uses corn that they're going to mess with their dopamine reward system. Incorrect. I don't want anyone to think that that is correct. Thank you, Fish. It's how you use it. We are just too different. Could be better. That's fair, Lily. However, Lily, making a judgment just after one conversation, what do you have to say about that? Of course, the universe. Lily, I did a video, I don't know if I put it up today or yesterday, on compatibility. And I was talking specifically about between the sheets, but let's talk about compatibility. Compatibility isn't always in your face right when you meet somebody. The weirdos are out tonight. Mary Henry. Please have an open mind, but also trust your instinct. Patty Cakes, myth. ED equals not thinking about schmecks. That's a myth. ED does not mean that you don't ever think about schmecks. If you don't think about schmecks a lot, I would call other things into play, in like your libido. But if you have ED, do you not think about schmecks? I'm trying to read this from a few angles. Because a lot of men who are suffering from ED try to avoid it altogether because they feel broken, they feel not enough, they feel whatever it is, shame, guilt, which I hope today made a difference because it's just information. Like, things happen all the time to bodies. Women have their time of the month, and it's just, again, information. This is just part of your cycle. We have a luteal phase. We have like, there's so many, like, it's just information of what your body's going through. When you have the urge to pee, just information. Is there shame involved there? No. So it's interesting to me that it's just something that your body is going through, information, that there's shame put on this, but not on that. Like, it's ridiculous to me. Even like something as silly as farting. Okay. I grew up in a family where that is not done. My husband, not so much. He doesn't, that's no big deal. And I love that, because why should there be shame? I mean, I don't love it all the time, but I love the concept of, if you catch my drift. True, because you don't touch me until the 4th day of, oh, Ashley. But I mean, we all have our preferences, right? And sometimes, like, conveying that is what you need and that is what you don't need in the moment, that's really connecting. Like, he's into physical activities and I couldn't. Lily, does that mean you are not into physical activities? Lily, you know how much movement is important to me. And it's important to me to convey how incredibly important that is to maintain your overall health. That's really funny, Lily. I don't like the guy because he likes to be physically active, and I just can't. I understand that I'm taking it like super like black and white, Lily, but I think it's funny that I read it like that. Yusuf, that depends, because it's usually between like 18 and like summer. It depends if you are a late bloomer. It could be in your early 20s. To all 211 of you, thank you so much for spending your time with me. I very much appreciate the respect and the courage that you have when you are typing in the chat. I thank you for your incredibly insightful questions. Miss Maggie, thank you for that cute little cactus shuffle. I did not see your question, so it perhaps was filtered, or maybe it went fast if you want to ask it again. I just appreciate the time that you've spent, and I'm hoping that you took something away. If you have questions that I perhaps didn't answer and didn't see, I apologize. You can send me a DM. I'm happy to respond there as well. I will be back on Tuesday, and we will talk about another topic that perhaps in society is uncomfortable to talk about, but we're getting into it. Because I think, again, we weren't taught how to be in the wild and have a effective conversation with our partner, or resolve conflict, or talk about schmecks, or such things as libido or ED or whatever it is. No shame, because we're here to learn, and we're here to increase our level of knowledge and positively impact our relationships. So if you are on your own tonight, I hope that you have a really, really great rest of your evening. And Adam, thank you so much for the follow. And Sarah, thank you for the follow. If you are with somebody, please do something kind for them. I appreciate you so much. 136K likes. Thank you, Den, for that. I appreciate everybody for all the taps, all the shares, all the reposts, all the gifts. It means the world to me, because I think that the more people find this community and ask questions and learn and get more comfortable with this topic, it changes relationships. Thank you so much. The universe is me for the hand hearts. I appreciate you. Ziamara. Love you, girl. So I'm just reiterating my appreciation, and I thank you for your time. Thank you, Dee. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your evening, and I will talk to you. I will see you on Tuesday. How do you last longer? We can, there's so many things. Look at, like, that's such a hard question to answer in about 30 seconds. Take care of your sexual health, get enough sleep, make sure your hormones are balanced, reduce your stress. There's exercises that you can do to teach yourself to last longer. Your strongest sexual organ is between your ears. So what you tell yourself matters when you're in the moment. Joe, thank you so much for the roses. Everybody have a fantastic evening. I'm here for new friends. Anyone? Mary Beth, welcome. We are 294. We're all your new friends. So I appreciate you. I will see you next Tuesday. Kegels are not a myth. They are a really great way to increase the level of your pelvic floor health. So inspiring to see a successful, awesome, Benny. Okay, thank you for the follows, everybody. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thank you for your support, and I will see you on Tuesday.